Homeless girl asked the billionaire for her leftovers, unaware she was her missing mother. The rain had been falling for hours when 17-year-old Lily stopped outside the entrance of the most expensive restaurant in the city. Her clothes were soaked, her shoes were torn, her stomach hurt from hunger. But Lily wasn't thinking about herself. She was thinking about the small piece of bread she had saved for the elderly woman sleeping under the bridge. Every night, Lily searched for food wherever she could find it. Sometimes kind strangers gave her a sandwich. Sometimes restaurant workers threw away food that was still perfectly good. And on the worst nights, she went to sleep hungry. That night, however, she had seen something that made her stop. Through the large glass windows of the restaurant, she saw a wealthy family sitting at a table near the entrance. They had finished eating, and several plates still had food on them. Lily stood outside for several minutes, fighting her embarrassment. Then she took a deep breath and walked inside. The restaurant became silent. People turned to look at her. The manager immediately rushed toward her. "Miss, you can't come in here." Lily lowered her eyes. "I'm sorry. I don't want to cause trouble." "Then please leave." Lily looked toward the table with the leftover food. Her voice became barely a whisper. "Could I please have the leftovers?" The manager stared at her. "What? Whatever they didn't finish. I haven't eaten today." Several customers began whispering. Lily's face turned red. "I'll take it outside. I promise I won't bother anyone." At that exact moment, a woman sitting at the table looked up. Her name was Elena Carter. At 52 years old, Elena was one of the richest women in the country. She owned a huge business empire and lived in a mansion surrounded by security guards. But despite all her wealth, there was one thing money had never been able to buy her: peace. 20 years earlier, Elena had lost her daughter. Her baby girl, Emma, had disappeared when she was only 2 years old. There had been a terrible accident during a family trip. In the confusion, the child had vanished. Elena had searched for her for years. She hired investigators. She offered rewards. She searched shelters and hospitals. She visited towns hundreds of miles away. But Emma was never found. Eventually, everyone told Elena to accept reality. They said her daughter was probably dead. But Elena never believed it. Every night, before going to sleep, she looked at the same old photograph. A photograph of a little girl with bright eyes and a tiny birthmark shaped like a crescent moon just below her left shoulder. Emma had been born with that unique mark. Elena had never forgotten it. Now, as she watched the homeless girl standing near the restaurant door, something inside her suddenly felt strange. There was something familiar about Lily. The way she lowered her eyes. The way she held her hands together. The slight movement of her head when she became nervous. Elena couldn't explain it. She simply stared. The manager was still trying to remove Lily. "Please leave before I have to call security." Lily nodded quickly. "I'm sorry." She turned around. Then Elena spoke. "Wait." Everyone became silent. Lily stopped. Elena looked at her. "Come here." The manager looked confused. "Mrs. Carter, I said, come here." Lily slowly approached the table. Elena studied her face. "What's your name?" "Lily." "Lily what?" "Just Lily." Elena frowned. "You don't have a last name." Lily shook her head. "I don't know it." That answer hit Elena like a stone. "What do you mean you don't know it?" Lily looked down. "I was raised in a group home." Elena's heart began beating faster. "Do you remember your parents?" "No, nothing." Lily hesitated. "I remember a woman." Elena's hands suddenly became cold. "What woman?" "I don't know who she was." Lily looked toward the window. "But sometimes I dream about her." Elena couldn't breathe. "What kind of dreams?" Lily closed her eyes. "I see a garden. There are white flowers everywhere. The woman is holding my hand. She calls me Emma." The restaurant seemed to disappear. Elena's entire body froze. "Emma." Lily nodded. "Yes." Elena stood up so quickly that her chair fell backward. "How old were you?" "I don't know." "Where did you live before the group home?" "I was found near a bus station when I was very young. They said I couldn't remember anything." Elena stared at her. Then she noticed something. Lily was wearing an old silver necklace. A tiny heart-shaped pendant hung from it. Elena's face went pale. That necklace. She knew it. She had given it to Emma 20 years ago. It had been a gift for her daughter's second birthday. But Elena couldn't be sure. Thousands of thoughts rushed through her mind. She stepped closer. "May I ask you something?" Lily nodded. "Do you have a scar?" Lily looked confused. "Where?" "On your left shoulder." Lily became nervous. "Yes." Elena's eyes filled with tears. "What shape?" Lily slowly moved the collar of her wet shirt. "There, Just below her left shoulder was a small crescent-shaped birthmark. Elena covered her mouth. She couldn't speak. The girl standing in front of her wasn't Lily. She was Emma, her missing daughter, the child Elena had searched for all those years. The child she had cried for every night. The child she had never stopped loving. Elena reached toward her. Emma. Lily stepped back. The name frightened her. I don't know. Elena's voice broke. You're my daughter. Lily stared at her. No. Yes. That's impossible. Elena began crying. I have a photograph. She quickly took out her phone and showed Lily an old picture. It was a photograph of a 2-year-old girl. Lily stared at it. Then she looked at Elena. The resemblance was impossible to ignore. The same eyes. The same smile. The same small mark near her eyebrow. Lily's hands began trembling. I don't remember. You were so young. Elena reached for her hand. You disappeared 20 years ago. Lily pulled away. Then why didn't you find me? The question broke Elena's heart. I tried. Why didn't you find me? I searched everywhere. You were rich. Elena's eyes filled with tears. I know. You had people. I know. You had money. I know. Elena's voice echoed through the restaurant. Then she lowered her head. But I couldn't find you. Lily's eyes filled with tears. I slept under bridges. Elena closed her eyes. I know. I was hungry. I know. I was scared. Elena began crying harder. I'm sorry. Lily stared at her. You don't even know me. Elena looked at her. I know you were my daughter. The room became silent. Then Lily asked the question that would change everything. If I'm really your daughter, why did you let me become homeless? Elena had no answer. Not because she didn't care, but because she had spent 20 years believing her daughter was gone forever. She had searched for a child who had no name. She had searched for Emma. But Lily had grown up believing she was nobody. That night, Elena took Lily to a private hospital. Doctors confirmed that Lily had suffered from malnutrition and exhaustion. Then Elena arranged a DNA test. The results came 2 days later. There was no doubt. Lily was Emma Carter, Elena's missing daughter. The news spread quickly. But Elena didn't care about the newspapers. She cared about one thing. Her daughter was finally home. Still, the reunion wasn't easy. Lily didn't suddenly become comfortable living in a mansion. She didn't know how to use expensive silverware. She didn't know which fork to use at dinner. She was afraid to touch things because she thought she might break them. She woke up every night expecting to be thrown out. One evening, Elena found her sleeping on the floor beside her bed. Emma. Lily woke up quickly. I'm sorry. Why are you sleeping there? I thought the bed was for guests. Elena's heart broke. This is your room. Lily looked around. Mine. Yes. Why? Because you're my daughter. Lily's eyes filled with tears. Elena sat beside her. You don't have to earn your place here. Lily looked at her. I don't know how to be your daughter. Elena smiled sadly. I don't know how to be your mother anymore. They both laughed through their tears. And that was the beginning. Not a perfect beginning, a real one. Lily slowly learned about her past. She discovered that she had an older brother who had spent years believing his sister was gone. She learned that her father had died several years earlier, never knowing where his daughter was. She learned that Elena had kept Emma's bedroom untouched for 20 years. But Lily also discovered something painful. She had not simply disappeared. She had been taken. An investigation revealed that, after the accident, Lily had been separated from her family by a woman who had intended to exploit children living without guardians. The woman had eventually abandoned Lily near a bus station when she realized that authorities were searching the area. Lily was sent to different shelters and group homes. Her records were incomplete. Her name had been changed. That was why Elena had never found her. For 20 years, Elena had blamed herself. But now she understood. The tragedy had not been caused by her lack of love. It had been caused by circumstances beyond her control. Months passed. Lily began attending school. She received counseling to help her adjust to her new life. But she never forgot where she came from. One afternoon, she asked Elena to drive her to the bridge where she had once slept. Elena was shocked. Why do you want to go there? Because someone is still there. Under the bridge lived an elderly woman named Martha. Lily had shared her food with Martha many times. When Lily arrived, Martha was sitting on an old blanket. Little bird. Lily smiled. Hi, Martha. The old woman stared at the expensive car behind her. Where have you been? Lily walked toward her. I found my family. Martha smiled. I always knew you would. Lily hugged her. Then she turned toward Elena. Mom, can we help her? Elena smiled. Of course. Within weeks, Elena used her resources to help Martha find a safe home. But she didn't stop there. She created a foundation to help homeless children find their families. The foundation also provided food, shelter, education, and legal assistance. Lily became the heart of the project. Whenever someone asked her why she cared so much, she always gave the same answer. Because I know what it feels like to be invisible. Years later, Lily stood at the opening of a new shelter. Hundreds of people had gathered. Elena stood beside her. Lily looked at her mother and smiled. Then she remembered the night they had first met. The night she had walked into a luxury restaurant wearing torn clothes. The night she had asked a billionaire for her leftovers. She had been asking for food. But she had received something much more precious. She had found her mother. And Elena had found the daughter she had spent 20 years searching for. Sometimes, life brings people back together in the most unexpected ways. Sometimes, the person standing in front of us is carrying a story we know nothing about. And sometimes, one simple act of kindness can open the door to a miracle. Elena had every reason to ignore a homeless girl asking for leftover food. Instead, she listened. She looked closer. And because she did, a family was reunited. Lily never forgot that night. Whenever someone asked her what she wanted people to remember about her story, she always said, "Don't look at people and decide they are worthless. You never know who they are, where they came from, or what they have survived." Because the homeless girl who entered that restaurant wasn't looking for a billionaire. She was looking for a meal. But she found her mother. And the billionaire who thought she had lost her daughter forever discovered that sometimes, the greatest treasures in life aren't found in mansions, bank accounts, or businesses. Sometimes, they are standing right in front of you, waiting for someone to see them. And sometimes, all it takes is one moment of kindness to change two lives forever.